Let's talk about Daniel today. We need to all move a little bit more like him. If you haven't read Daniel yet, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books in the Bible. It's a small book. There's no excuses. If you haven't read it, you should read it. I didn't write anything down in specific. I'm just going to reflect a bit. I want to emphasize the fact that Daniel is always obedient first. Always. It doesn't matter at what era he is of his life, who's standing in front of him, and how important they are. It doesn't matter the circumstances. He and his friends, they're always obedient first. And that just shows the priority in his life. And the priority was always God. Always. We get to know in the first chapter that the king of Babylon, he needs young men, good-looking young men that are wise to, serve him, basically. Daniel and his friends, they're chosen, as well as other young men. When they arrive and they have to eat what's given to them, such a small detail that I love to talk about. They get there and they get all of different types of food, and it's an entire cookout from the Babylon. All of this meat, and we know that these people are very pagan. They knew that the food was most likely an offering for those false gods that the pagans had. So Daniel's first thought was, no, I'm not gonna eat this. We have to find a way to eat something else. That was his first thought. And if you think about it, God wouldn't punish them if they did eat that. God was with them, and that wouldn't affect their well-being. But still, he chose to not eat it. He knew that it wasn't something that would truly honor God. So he didn't even ask or pray about it. He just knew that it wouldn't honor God, so he just acted. What does Daniel do? He goes up to the chief of the eunuchs and asks him if he could give him and his friends plain vegetables. The result of that, even though the chief is a bit suspicious about the whole situation, they turn out 10 times more strong and fit than all of the rest of the people that were eating the meat and the wine offered by the king. See, they could have just let that be. But still, they chose to obey God first. And that was the result. I think if they didn't do it, they would have turned out fine. But because they did it, God honored them, and they became even more strong and good-looking and just fit overall than the rest of these people. I think we all can learn a lot from this specific episode of Daniel's life. Interesting. He knew God's heart so well. He didn't think twice. He wasn't ashamed to just go up to this chief guy and ask him if that was possible. He just cared about, what does God want? How can I honor him? How can I obey? And that's what he did. Guess what? The consequences came, right? And those were good consequences. So much so that they even received higher positions in the Babylon. It's incredible. Sometimes we overthink so much on how to act in a certain situation. What should I say to this person? What do I do? It's as simple as that. How can I honor God? What would God want me to do? It's as simple as that. They were so young, and they were in this entire new world, the Babylon. The Babylon was ahead of its time, and if you compare the Babylon to whatever they knew, because all they knew was their parents' home. Just a country life, that's all they knew. Imagine just teenagers suddenly having the opportunity to live this life in the Babylon, all of those new sensations, music, different colors, and all you can try and see and do whatever, However, Not once is it mentioned that Daniel or any of his friends were tempted by it. None of them. Because it bored them. All of the colors and smells and rituals and music, it bored them because they were filled by the Spirit. And it's crazy how when you read Daniel, just the way that he acts and the way he just obeys the Lord, it's so precise. It's almost like a reflex. And I just think to myself, whoa, I want to be at that level of intimacy with the Lord. Because how? And he was so young too. I feel like if all I knew was just whatever, my parents' home and, you know, all of that simplicity, and then all of a sudden I was in this huge world, I don't know if I would have acted the same way. They probably were offered so many things that aren't even mentioned in the Bible, and you can truly sense that none of that had any kind of importance to them. It was nothing. I'm not saying that Daniel never made a mistake. We're not immune to sin. We're sinners, and so was Daniel. What I'm trying to say is, he had his priorities straight. Never questioned them once. I think we can all learn from that. There's so much more I could talk about. There's a lot of amazing situations that Daniel went through, Daniel and his friends, and I could speak about them for hours and hours. But I think that those are the main points that I wanted to talk about today. And I want to give you guys some space to also speak about it and comment about it, because I also want to see from you guys' perspective. Who is Daniel to you? What have you learned with his story? Feel free to share in the comments, and see you next time.